This is Prayer One Theologist channel. I'm Dr. Jason W. Morrison, New South Wales, Australia. If you haven't already, please like the videos that you watch, subscribe to the channel, and most of all, leave your comments. Let's start our next teaching. Okay, viewers, this should be the last part of the Stephen Lett propaganda talk, I hope. It's been a hard thing to try and get through, but we'll see how we go. Let's get into it.
Were those the complete facts? No. The patient refused a blood transfusion on religious grounds, but she did agree to alternative non-blood medical management.
Now, we need to get this clear. The non-blood Jehovah Witness doctrine is demonic. It's satanic. It's not in the Bible. We were told, or the Jews were told, not to eat blood. It had nothing to do with the Christians. It was mentioned in the book of Acts when the leaders of the first church got a little bit out of order and were starting to bring in little bits and pieces of the law, but Paul pulled that back into line. That was all out of order. Just because it says it in the Bible doesn't mean it was applicable. Completely out of order. And the no blood transfusion doctrine of the Jehovah Witnesses is a complete and utter lie. Now, if we go to the YouTube, just trying to show you. Type in JW blood policy. Type in JW blood policy. That should work. Policy. This might be boring for you, some of you, but it shows you what to do. Oh, what's this? Might be time to watch. Let's watch this. It's a leaked video. Oh, it's Lloyd Evans.
Have you or a loved one faced a medical emergency or prepared for a serious medical procedure? If so, you know how stressful that can be. Psalm 41:3 promises that Jehovah will sustain us on our sickbed. How does he do this? Not through miraculous cures, but by lovingly providing physical, emotional, and spiritual support. One means of support is the Hospital Liaison Committee arrangement. Today, more than 16,000 brothers serve on or coordinate some 2,000 liaison committees around the world.
Let me just say to you, I actually did clinical pastoral education. Reverend Dr. Jason William Morrison, Council for Clinical Pastoral Education at the local hospital. And I want to be very careful, but there are major concerns about the way in which the Jehovah Witnesses conduct their demonic practices within the hospitals. My sister is a sister at the local hospital. I won't mention it. Several others as well. And she actually nursed a Jehovah Witness lady to death. All she needed was a blood transfusion. These people came in, these elders or whatever they call them, made sure she didn't get the transfusion. And consequently died. Tanya, or my sister, watched her die. These people are completely and utterly deceived. It's absolutely serial, as in serial killer. This is serial theological deception and abuse. And I honestly believe that people like this that put their heads on here and encourage no blood transfusion or some kind of alternative to that, which the alternatives are up to these people, but there's no need for it, should be regarded criminally as accessories to the fact of euthanasia, because it's encouraging people to negate their opportunity to save their life through a belief that is not and can be proven by secular scholars. It's absolutely not true. It's a lie. Now, I don't want to steal Lloyd Evans's video, but I will put the link below. We'll go and find another one. I just don't think it's right to intrude into Lloyd's work. We'll have a little look.
How do they assist?
Our role is to help doctors and Jehovah's Witnesses to come to a consensus on how to treat the patient without breaking God's law.
You've just been watching the intro to a brief video released in 2020 that celebrated the HLC, or Hospital Liaison Committee,
This guy's brilliant, isn't he? This guy is absolutely brilliant.
arrangement. As you heard, there are 16,000 Jehovah's Witness elders assigned to some 2,000 HLCs globally. And their mission is
to help doctors and Jehovah's Witnesses to come to a consensus on how to treat the patient without breaking God's law.
And Lloyd Evans' face there says it all. It is not, ladies and gentlemen, it is not God's law. I'll give Lloyd a chance to have a say here, and then we'll put the link to his thing below. Now, this guy's brilliant.
That's a diplomatic way of saying our role is to interfere in the administering of medical treatment and make sure blood is never transfused into a patient, even if it means them dying. After all, if there's one thing nearly everyone knows about Jehovah's Witnesses, it's that they refuse blood transfusions, even for children who, for obvious reasons, aren't in a position to take a religious stance on anything, let alone complex medical issues. What you won't hear HLC elders say when they're helping doctors to reach this consensus is that Jehovah's Witnesses are literally punished with expulsion if they accept a transfusion.
I didn't know that. Did you know that? Jeez. We're going to stick with Lloyd here. He's brilliant.
As it says in their secret manual, shepherd the flock of God under the heading willingly and unrepentantly accepting blood. If the elders on the committee, that's judicial committee, determine that he is unrepentant, they should announce his disassociation. In the context of Jehovah's Witnesses, disassociation means being shunned by everyone the person knows who are believers, including close family members. You can understand why someone would rather die than risk being cut off from everyone they care about. Anyway, it's one thing for adults to be coerced into refusing blood under penalty of shunning, but what about children? Jehovah's Witnesses have a long history of celebrating the fact that they allow children to martyr themselves refusing blood due to the beliefs of their parents. Exhibit A, this infamous 1994 Awake magazine, which gave the stories of multiple children who were effectively killed by the religious beliefs of their JW mothers and fathers. And Exhibit B, the following video from 2019.
In the days of distress, they arrived early on Jared at 11.
Jared was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer in the middle of 1991. We started trying to figure out how we could get him the treatment that he needed, of course, but in no way would we accept a blood transfusion, and neither would Jared. He died in June of 1992. He was at home, and the last thing he said to us was, "Work hard so we can all be together again."
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh dear. Oh my God. Oh boy. I'll put the link to this below. Lloyd Evans, he's absolutely sensational. I can't watch this evil. It's worse than the Satanic Church. It's worse than the Satanic Church. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this is such an evil organization. Okay, I'll leave Lloyd's link in the description below. Gee, he's a good communicator. I found this, my experience with Jehovah's Witness patient. This guy's a urologist. Let's listen.
Hello, my name is Dr. Neil Baum, and I would like to share a true story with you regarding the care I provided to a Jehovah's Witness patient. The story begins that I'm providing care for a middle-aged man, and I'm consenting him for a radical nephrectomy. I met with the patient and his son says to me, "We are both Jehovah's Witness, and I don't want my father to receive any blood products." The father agreed that that was his wish as well, and the conversation was documented in the chart. It was the night before surgery, and I met with the patient, and he was alone in his hospital room, and the patient admits to me, he says, "I'm not quite as religious as my son. If I need the blood, please give it to me, and don't tell my son about the transfusion." That discussion was also documented in the chart, and I typed the patient for 2 units of packed cells. Patient had the surgery, had significant blood loss, developed some symptoms of hypovolemia in the recovery room, and he received 2 units of packed cells. No family members were allowed in the recovery room while he was receiving the blood. And I even instructed the nurses to change the IV tubing so there would be no telltale signs that he had received 2 transfusions. I then met with the son in the family lounge. And the son says to me, looking me straight in the eye, he says, "Did my father receive any transfusion?" Well, I was like a deer with looking into the headlights. It really caught me off guard. And I said to the son, "Why do you ask?" And the son said, "Someone from the blood bank had come to the family lounge during surgery and asked if anyone in the family would consider donating blood, as their father was going to receive blood." The mistake I had made was I forgot to inform the blood bank that the patient was going to receive transfusions and not to ask anyone from the family to donate blood. So I was confronted with a decision on the spot. Do I tell the truth? Do I tell the son about the previous night's discussion with his father when we had a one-on-one discussion? That would certainly rupture rapport between the father and the son. It would also change the trust that the patient had with me. Or do I lie to protect the patient? I had to make a decision very, very quickly. So what would you do? My response was to the patient and protect his wishes and preserve his relationship with his son. What I said was There must have been a mistake, as your father did not receive any blood. The Hippocratic Oath, the first rule is do no harm. And my opinion was that there's sometimes more than clinical harm, but also psychological harm that we can do to our patients. If I had told the truth about the transfusion, I would have harmed the patient. I lied to protect my patient. So what lessons did I learn? First of all, I learned that Jehovah's Witnesses need to express their personal preferences of treatment, and that any discussion that I would have with a patient should be without the presence of other family members or other members of their faith. And having taken care of several Jehovah's Witnesses, I learned my lesson regarding this patient, where I had to tell a lie to protect his relationship with his son. So what's the bottom line? Bottom line, I ask you, what would you have done if you were in my position in that surgical lounge when the son confronted you about his father receiving blood? And I ask you, do you have any other similar stories where fast thinking is required? If you do, please share them with me and with our colleagues. I hope you found this presentation useful in your interaction with your patients who are of the Jehovah's Witness faith.
Let's read some of the comments. Ironic, isn't it? The consideration of psychological harm, when this doesn't seem to be acknowledged today in the light of a medical profession forcing untested jabs onto people. This confirms to me why I have so little trust in the medical profession. You made a wise decision, Doctor. It speaks volumes of your character. Like you said, you had to make a fast decision, but I hope with all my heart I would have done what you did. Hello, Doctor. Not only would the son most likely shun his father for accepting the transfusion, your patient would have been involuntarily disassociated and shunned by his religion. Thank you, protecting the physical and emotional health of your patient. I'm sorry you were put in that difficult position. A factor not mentioned is that had you told the son the truth, he would have been obliged to report his father to the elders of their congregation, which would present grounds for disfellowshipping of the father from the religion. All other witnesses would then be required to shun the father, which might have killed him emotionally and psychologically. Shunning has led some witnesses to commit suicide. A lot of witnesses, not some. It wasn't the son's business. It would only be wrong to withhold the truth if your patient was a minor. And thank you, Doctor. You made the absolute right choice. You saved a man's life, abiding by your oath. How do your responsibility was to your patient, not his son, as a former born-in witness? I understand the son's position. Sadly, as witnesses, they honestly don't know any better. Thank you for sharing this. I hope other doctors follow your example.
This could have been implemented immediately and likely would have saved her life. However, the hospital delayed matters unnecessarily until it was too late. The press report didn't mention these facts. While it's unreasonable to distrust all secular sources of information, we must be wary. 1 John 5:19 says, "The whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one."
But the problem with this, what this guy's saying is, he's building what he's saying on lies. It's relentless, isn't it? The way these indoctrinated cult leaders persist, isn't it? They just don't seem to know. They don't know, do they? Oh my goodness, you know, they talk about the wicked one and Satan and all the rest of it. And with the blood doctrine, they're actually doing it themselves. They're actually being demonic themselves. It's really confronting and it's really disturbing because, as I said before, secular people could study the book, the first 5 books of the Bible, and know, even the book of Acts, that blood has nothing to do with anything. Only the fact that the Lord Jesus Christ in Acts, it says that his blood was God's blood, which, I mean, if you can accept that, you're way ahead. But they wouldn't accept that. So it's a vicious evil cult, isn't it? It's a very vicious evil cult. It's just relentless, isn't it? It just goes on and on and on and on. They just go on and on and on and on, don't they? They just push. And I remember in an interview, Angus Stewart from the Australian Royal Commission, after it all, said that the sad thing about these cult people is that they honestly believe what they're told. They haven't done the work to find out what the truth is. And it's really sad. The problem with it is they're making billions of dollars, not just millions, billions. And the money's going somewhere, but it's definitely not going to the people or anything like that, which I guess they've got a right to send it wherever they want, haven't they? Really. But you'll find that in any church, all the money that they get and the profit that they make, they just expand their little profit banks and keep themselves going. So, you know, what do? Do I keep going with this video? I think we'll leave this one here. It's pretty disturbing. We'll see what this last part is, and then we'll go.
Now, let's discuss a second example of the voice of our fine shepherd Jesus. Matthew chapter...
Hang on. So, what he was saying is that's an example that Jesus gave to follow. Oh dear. Oh my God. Oh God. Okay, I'm going to leave that there for now. Thank you for watching, viewers. Like, share, subscribe. I'll put the links below. Bye for now.